Should be.
All right, so Personnel Committee meeting March 21st. So this is being recorded and will be able to be found on Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. Following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to view the meeting remotely. To view remotely from a computer, use the Zoom link and the agenda. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. So we'll begin with any public comment from the committee members. All right, any public comment from the public? All right, hearing none, let's go to,
Approval of the March 16th, 2020 minutes.
yep,
I make a
Okay.
motion to approve the minutes of March 16th, 2022.
I'll second. This is Wendy.
all in favor, Sue,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
and Donna,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. Very ongoing business is Julia's, did anyone want to speak about the new position? Like, should we take that out of order if they're here now?
Yeah, I would do both the new hire and the new position. So if we want to, we can start with the new position since both Chief Gamble and Lieutenant Thibodeau are on. So, so you have a draft job description for the civilian traffic member. Basically, this is going to be strictly for details. And based on the rate that they would be provided if it were under the CBA detail rate, we would like to grade it as an SAP grade 10. And then both chief or lieutenant can provide further detail.
On the new hire form, it says grade step pay rate 6.6. Are we going to a 10? Is that what you just said?
We're
Right.
doing the job description first.
Okay.
So what has happened recently within the last year, we've lost the ability to bring reserve officers on board with us. Basically, with the new police reform that's come out, the training requirements for reserve is equal to a full-time officer. And it's actually depleted our reserve force, and it's making it harder for us to bring people in. In doing so, we've lost a pretty good number of personnel in that field as we continued our hiring process for full-time officers. One of the pitfalls that has occurred through this is the ability to provide detail officers for road jobs and traffic control out in public. We've had several details that went unfilled last year. Several companies had to reschedule. It really becomes a scheduling nightmare when we start doing these things. To remedy that situation, the lieutenant reached out to Leominster PD and spoke with them and developed a civilian traffic member or a civilian traffic unit. The people that we're looking at would be non-sworn members of our department. They would be retired public safety officials, and they would work as per diem. One of the things that we would require them to do is pass CPR and first responder, provided their current physical at their own cost from their doctors, proof that they've passed the physical. They have to be in good standing from whatever department they've retired from, and we would pay them as a detail officer here. I will open it up to any questions. The way we would grade this is that it had to fall into something in the SAP plan, but the pay would be according to the CBA from Local 353.
And Chief, I'm sorry, I missed your statement as to why we can't get officers. Is it due to the pay? What was it?
We're struggling with police reform and the requirements that reserve officers are under to maintain their certification here in the state. So we are our focus on getting full-time officers here. Reserve officers, if they come aboard, they have to be trained to the level of a full-time officer. And that encompasses, if we brought somebody in that's untrained, is going to the Bridge Academy, which is an additional 200 hours of training that we just don't have the money for at this point.
And what's the age bracket for retirees? Maynard's changing this to 75. We're doing a town article to change it from 65 to 75.
That is for full-time officers only. If they want to stay on as a reserve officer, you would have to go to legislation to get that passed to extend those years. This is considered a civilian traffic member, so it doesn't not necessarily affect their age requirement in that sense. What you're talking about is PRAC is the retirement age. For a full-time law enforcement officer, the mandatory retirement age is 65, and you can't go beyond that even as a reserve.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, just,
Makes sense.
It's going to supplement what we need to provide for companies out there for details. And even our own highway department depends on some of our officers to work details out there, and it'll be able to supplement that also.
And this is basically just, if I hear you correctly, it's because you're short-staffed in the sense that the reserve officers you have can't even do this work yet?
They can, but we are short-staffed as it is because we've been, we usually hire from our reserve ranks as it is, and we haven't been backfilling those positions because we knew what the post requirements were going to be for certification of reserve officers. If we certify a reserve officer to the level of a full-time officer, there's nothing that we could do to keep them here. They could walk out the door, go find another full-time job anywhere. And again, then we're short another reserve officer. So we've actually kind of curtailed a little bit of our reserve hiring at this point until we find out further down the road where we're going to be with the reserve certifications.
And any business or whatever that needs an officer to work a detail, they typically would pay for that, wouldn't they?
Correct. And that's how it would be paid for with the civilian traffic vendor. It would come from them, not the town.
And when the job description says retired public safety personnel, are there other people other than retired police officers that would be able to do this?
Absolutely. Firefighters, we would send them to a traffic control school type of thing, get them certified through the NTSB and some requirements that they have, especially if they're on a state road, and get them certified to direct traffic.
Anybody else have any other questions for them?
Nope. Julie, were you happy with the 10?
Yes, I think that fits.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I make a motion that we accept the job position as presented by the Director of HR.
I'll second it. I guess my only question, Julie, is what's the point of giving it a grade if the hourly rate is determined by the CBA?
Because it's an SAP position, so like our reserve officers, they need a home. And it's the closest pay range to the rate in the CBA.
Okay.
and so just so I could clarify, so step 10, 2409, is that what we're saying we're going to pay hourly?
May I make a suggestion that this position is a per diem type of position? I would suggest that you put it as a grade 10 with an asterisk and put it as that person is covered by the CBA detail rate. They're not going to be employees of the town per se. They're going to be hired as civilian traffic members. So I'm not sure that would apply to giving them an hourly rate.
Yeah, because that just looks low to me. So if I look at just grade 10,
Right.
like a low hourly rate. Because I know Shady Point, even in the summer with the boat details, they have a hard time finding details.
Right. And, essentially with the traffic job, it would be on the hiring company to pay the rate, what the collective.
So we really can't say what the rate is.
I'm not sure if you can leave it blank or not, or put an asterisk as a grade 10 per diem for the contract. I don't know if that's applicable here.
I think the SAP is designed to be what grade is it in, and whenever you put in a hire for whoever you might hire into that role, we would probably have to vote on the rate because it'll be different than the steps. So it'll get taken care of by that vote, I think.
And it almost seems like we should have like a grade 21, which is our asterisk grade of anyone that's covered by these CBAs. Because I mean, there's got to be other aren't like reserve officers are covered by the CBA, right? Fire, who else? The on-call firefighters, are they covered by the CBA?
Well, our reserve officers, when they work details, are covered by the CBA, but if they're working a shift or a desk or a prisoner watch, they're covered by the SAP.
Well,
I
Julie,
think
what
like
if
Julie
we-
said, they just need a place to be to
Yeah.
start.
That's fine. It's just, I think it does make sense there's a number of positions that fall into this category of being covered by CBA. I just think we should note that somewhere. And it would seem like we could just add a little one-line explanation below like the Schedule A classification and salary schedule, where we have every class title listed. If there is one that we know definitely falls under a CBA, we ought to just put a little asterisk at the bottom that says that. I mean, we can give it a grade, but then indicate that this position's pay rate falls under the CBA, something like that.
Chief, is there any time when these people might fall under the SAP, like the reserves?
No, they wouldn't. Because
They would never do that, okay.
Could we just put their category on the pay scale and say based on the ZBA?
Yeah. Well, I think it can go 10 because it fits. That may be one of the things we look at as we look at the 20 grades to something else next year. Oh, later this year.
Well, it doesn't fit in 10. They don't make $24.
I don't have mine in front of me, so 10 doesn't fit 24 at all?
No, 10 is
Somewhere in
24.
amongst 10? Yeah,
So that's why I'm saying if we just add a separate, line that says this new civilian and their pay scale is on the, is per the, it's not ZBA, whatever the CBA contract is.
Julie, do you have a recommendation for how that should show?
Well, what would the average rate be? I guess let's start with that. If we're referring to the CBA and I'm reading the CBA, I don't see an exact rate. So what,
Are you talking about The police CBA,
Yeah,
it's based on the top step sergeant's overtime rate.
all right, so let me relook at that.
It'd be grade 19. Grade 19 or grade 20.
Top step sergeant, you said?
Yep.
So that is currently 37.95. Does that sound about right?
Yes, that's not their overtime rate though.
Right.
Yep.
So 37.94. So you're looking at a grade 15. Grade 13.
I don't know why we even have to give it a grade. If it's not, I mean, the only reason for the grade is to determine what their salary is, where they fall in the salary grid. And if they don't fall anywhere on the salary grid because they're not part of it, we don't need to put them on it. Like, I mean, to me, that just put an asterisk with an an explanation at the bottom.
That's
Can
what
do
I
that.
said.
Makes sense.
That's what I've been saying. Okay.
All right, so how about we,
We didn't take a vote, so we have to start again.
Barb has her hand up. Go ahead, Barb.
I just want to ask a question because I don't get it. Why is this even under the SAP if nothing about it really applies? They're covered under a different contract.
They have to fall somewhere. They're not technically, they're not police officers. They have to fall somewhere within our payroll so we can pay them.
Okay. I'm
So
just
Barb,
surprised
ca-
the police contract wouldn't have some pocket for these guys.
Yeah.
Because they don't benefit from the contract itself, except for the rate of pay for the details. The CBA is for union members only.
Oh, okay.
So I would make a motion for the civilian traffic member position to go into the SAP plan with an asterisk for salary to be determined by the CBA and whatever the rate is at that given time.
All right, I'll second that. All in favor, Sue,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
and Donna,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. The other. The other position is board clerk secretary.
So thank you,
You're-
Chief. Thank you, Officer Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Have a great
Thank-
night. Thanks for all you
Thank
do.
you, guys. Thank you for taking us out of turn too. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Um,
Okay, so now the board clerk secretary.
So this
And
is
then-
for Parks Commission. And based on her 20+ years of experience, administrative experience, specifically working with minutes as well, we want to start her at a grade 6, step 6, 1981 an hour.
I would make a motion for the board secretary for the Parks Commission. Andrea, do I need to say her name? Andrea
Yeah.
Mastra Tortoro at grade 6, step 6 at 1981 an hour.
I can second that.
And then we could do discussion. What?
Okay. Yeah, is there any discussion before we vote here? Okay. Sue?
Aye.
All in favor? Sue says aye. Wendy,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. It's approved. All right, so let's get back to ongoing business of discussing the SAP salary grid options. So again, I sent another version today. So the one, which I wish I would have sent it earlier, but you know, time is what it is. The first version I sent was, addressed the minimum wage issue for this year for FY '23 and FY '24. But obviously in doing that, if you're going to keep like a kind of like current level of increase between grades, the price, the impact on the budget goes up. As a result of that. So the version I sent today is still addresses minimum wage, but has less of it. I can't give you the exact number. I haven't done the math yet, and I didn't get that to Nancy till late, so she couldn't give the number either. But it's obviously, if you look at the percentage increase, it'll be less of a impact on the budget. And I don't know how you want to go about discussing these options, or if other people have other options to present. But I could share my screen of those two versions, or we could just talk about them.
That would be helpful, Eric, if you could show them both. I was trying to work out what the differences were between the two, just as a
Okay.
quick look. But
Let's see here.
So while you're doing that, Eric, I actually looked pretty closely at both of them, and I thought the one from the other day, the 5.29% or whatever, there was a little difference there, but I thought it was a little steep given some at the higher level, some of those jobs wouldn't require that much of a change. And I'm more comfortable with the one you sent today.
Okay. Just trying to bring up my screen right now. It's a little slow. Hold on one sec. So one thing, I'm actually trying to bring up a Google Doc, and I'm using Safari, and they don't always play nice together. It prefers Google Chrome. So let me give it one more try here. All right, here we go.
Because if it doesn't come up for you, Eric, maybe Julie or I could pull it up because you sent it to us.
Yeah, no, I got it going.
Oh, good, perfect. Here it
Alright,
is.
So this is, let me bring up the first version. I can move this out of the way. That.
And this is today's version that we just got this afternoon. that Sue likes
No,
better.
this is the one from last week.
Oh, okay,
This is the more expensive version. And you can see that, so this is FY '23. Basically, starting with 1425 at grade 1, step 1, same 20 grades. And what it did, I mean, the way I calculated this was just trying to keep some difference between the grades early on. For example, it's impossible not to, if you're going to go from $11.10 an hour to 1425, you're going to have a 28% increase for, grade 1, which is obviously pretty substantial, but that's the result of us not addressing this for years. So now we're trying to fix it. And so that's going to be a big increase. So then it's a question of, well, how much of an increase do you have from grade 1 to grade 2 to 3 and on down the line? So this version, where normally SAP employees are used to a 9% difference between grades. And if you actually kept that 9% increase all the way from grade 1 to grade 20, it would be, the budget impact would be off the charts. So, and we know that by the salary data that we have, that in almost all cases, we are below, let's say, other towns, comparable towns in almost every category except 2, I believe. But it wouldn't be that much below, right? This would make us probably one of the highest paying towns anywhere in the state. So we know we can't do that. So what this tried to do was say, well, we're going to have smaller increases for the first few steps here. What's this, up to grade 5 and grade 6. And then it goes to the 9%. And so this is currently for this year, if someone was at step 20 or grade 20, step 1, although I know we don't have any at grade 20, their hourly rate would go from 57 to 60. 20, someone that's at grade 9 would be, instead of $22.11 this year, they would be at $23.27. So this is where the percent increase over FY '22 is here, right? From 28% at grade 1 to make up for the minimum wage gap. And then it goes down until you get to about over 5% for everyone else. And the same thing, something similar happens in FY '24, where they're all around 5.26%, because now we had to go from 14.25 to 15, because that's changing on January 1st to $15 an hour. Hey, can someone mute who's ever doing their dishes in the background there? And then FY '25 is just standard kind of 2% across the board for everyone. And the budget impact Nancy calculated for this proposal, I think you probably saw that. Move this. The proposal for FY '23 was 59,000, which, if I remember right, was about 38,000 more than just a standard 2% increase where we didn't fix for minimum wage, right? So yeah, 2% increase to FY '22 would be the 20,564, and this would be 59,000. So, and it was the same issue for FY '24. It's about 38,000 more, I believe.
Hey, Eric, can you hide column A, B, the ones with the names in them?
Oh
I
yeah,
think it's
sorry.
probably confidential.
It is actually public, but
All public record.
it's
Oh,
not
okay.
something
Never
that-
mind. No big deal.
No, I did I did send you a version where those were hidden. I guess I'm looking at a different version here. So anyway, that I would guess that this might be this amount of 38,000 more than the 2% that, we could ask Heather her thoughts on that. And because I am not familiar with the entire town budget and how that might impact it. Obviously, we can't do something if, you can't get blood from a stone. So if that's not doable in the budget, or if board members just feel it's too much anyway, then it's not something we should do. And therefore, that's why I sent a second version that is more budget friendly. But Heather, do you have any, or Julie, do you have any comment on the version I just went through?
Yes, thank you, Eric. I would agree that the second version you sent later today is much more in line with the budget. Outside of what Nancy calculated, there were categories of employees that didn't include calculations. So I asked her for payroll amounts from fiscal 21, because that was the last full year of salary data that we would have for those categories, and just did some rough calculations. And it's approximately another 20,000 that would be added to that bottom line as far as budget impact. So that is certainly not in line with our fiscal 23 budget as far as what we have allocated for funds for salary changes. And we have 2 other units that we need to address as far as salary adjustments for fiscal 23. The percentage, I'd like the chart that you did the second round, Eric. I think it addresses the minimum wage. I think another caveat we can put in there is that in the grid is that going forward, no person shall start or at a grade and step lower than state minimum wage. So even if the grid starts at $14.25 and it moves up to $15 that fiscal year, everyone knows that they will start at a step that's appropriate in line with state minimum wage.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the second version I sent you just about, I don't know what, an hour or two ago, a couple hours ago. So the way this becomes more affordable for the town is by essentially decreasing the change between the grades, especially early on. So like grades 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's not a huge difference, but between them, actually, and then into 5 as well. But then it gets more into the normal 8 to 9% change in steps as you go on. But the percent increase changes. So you're starting at 28 again, then it goes to 23, 18, 11, 5, and then basically 2% once you get to step or grade 6. And 24, FY 24 is similar, but much less of an impact, 5, 4, 3, 3, and then to roughly 2.1%. An accountant maybe can come up with more perfect percent increases than I did, but that's roughly keeping it equal there. And then FY 25 becomes really easy because you don't have to make these adjustments early on anymore. You can just go straight to what's a 2% increase over FY 24.
Eric, question on grade 7, that's the one that was out of whack before, is that right? It's at 11.3%.
Yep.
Is there anything that we can do since we're, like, we're doing some work here? Is there anything we can do to make that less of a drastic bump without mucking up everything else that we've already got? Or maybe it's not possible. Like, what's step 1? What's grade 7 step 1 today? Is it 19 something?
It is
Yeah, it
$19.
must be. Yeah, okay.
So yeah, you're going from $17.09 to $19. I don't know the historical reason for that. I don't know how it happened, but it did. So I mean, you could, it basically would, to make the fix, you'd have to really, whoever's in grade 7 would get, virtually no raise if we fixed it too much. Because as it is, it's only a 40% raise from last year, FY22 to FY23.
Yeah,
So it's, there, it's, you see the 11%, you're like, oh, but they're not getting 11% raise. They're just getting a 2% raise. But the difference between 7 and 6 is bigger than most. But it, still, even when you look at the numbers, this, I don't know. It's not that huge of a difference, but percentage wise, it is.
yeah.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I can't even see if anyone has a hand up when I'm doing that. Does anyone have any other thoughts or comments on these proposals or alternative proposals? Barb?
Yep, so I'm just confused as to, you can use my grade and step as an example. I am at grade 11 and I'm at the top of my step. So given your proposal, what does that do? Is that a 2% or is there any kind of a step change at all for anybody that's at the top? Am I moving down to 12? Is there a shift? You can't follow it. And when you cut off the names, you cut off how to identify the jobs unless I am missing. On the salary grid, I can't see what they belong to.
Well, I mean, the salary grids, I don't have any, there were never any names here.
No, but just even grade, I don't even see the grade, what I'm looking at. It seems to be gone.
All right, well, I'll share my screen again, but the grades are all here.
I think she's referring to the projection. Is that right, Barb?
You cut out. What did you say?
Are you referring to the projection? The sheet when Donna asked him to hide the columns A through D?
I was looking at what you had sent. It was budget impact and the
Yeah,
columns.
okay. That's what she's, yeah.
Yeah, but it was just the job number was hidden, but when I unhid it, it doesn't have the grade.
Here's the grade column. I'll highlight it for you.
Okay.
So if you're looking at a grade 11, step 8, this proposed, I believe that was the 3401. Let's see if I have that right. Yeah, that's FY23 proposed. So if I go to this one, this was the first proposed. Grade 11, step 8 is, let's see, 3401. Isn't that what I just said? Yeah. Yeah, so this is where Nancy took my first proposal and inputted those figures there
Okay,
based on the number of hours that a person typically works in that role.
okay. So we're not necessarily adding more steps. We're just,
Correct. This is both of these proposals. So basically, we put on hold any changes in grades or steps, and just tried to, keep that all the same, so we don't have to reclassify any grade positions into different grades, since they're already set, and we don't have the time or knowledge, I guess, to do that easily now. This was just to address the salary grid under our current grades and steps, and to make sure that we started at least minimum wage.
Yeah,
So
we also talked about how changing both, making this the grid such that it came to minimum wage to start with, changing that plus changing grades or reducing grades and things like that. We didn't want it to appear as though we were, doing a sleight of hand and being a little shady. We just wanted it to be very clear to the town what we were doing here. And then we agreed we would try to address the number of grades at a different time.
okay.
If I can ask for clarity, so using Barb, is that saying Barb's getting a 2.09% raise? Am I on mute?
No, I heard you.
That would be true if she was at the top step.
And she's at the, isn't that what you said, Barb? You're at the top step?
That is correct.
I'm sorry, I just had someone.
That's okay. And how
No,
many
I'm
years
still at
service do you
work.
have, Barb?
I'm sorry,
How many years service do you have?
19 and a half. That's my concern, is just the people that are at the top, it get very little, and it's an economy that is not at 2% increase in cost of living. And there's more of me like us out there. I'm just one speaking.
Sue, can you repeat what the federal cost of living increase was?
The federal budgeted 2.5, 2.0 was for their step adjustment, and 0.5 was for potential funding for promotions. So that would mean if you're just no promotion involved, if you were going from one year to the next, your step increase would increase by 2.0. And I think the state just did something, but I haven't been able to figure that out yet. And the general population is running anywhere from 2.5 to 3, for high tech and all the others combined.
Well, and this is why you lose municipal employees. I'm just gonna say that.
And you can, it's a safe place.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we don't have a fix for people that max out, and that happens in any salary grid you can think of, whether it's teacher, police, fire, those types of contracts, there's always a final step. And once you reach that, you reach it.
There are usually also merit increases, though, in those situations, and a lot of,
Not for teachers.
no,
If you're in a
no.
step grid, it is the top.
Well, I would, go ahead, Heather.
Just gonna add that employees over with 10 years of service or more get a longevity as well. And that's a percentage of their salary.
Nancy?
Just a comment that a lot of times when people are maxed out at the top, the grids are revised where they drop the bottom steps and add to the end of it, such as the teachers this year added another step because people were at the 12, so they added a step 13. So it does happen that the grids are revised that way.
That was what I had started the whole conversation with, is that usually you drop off your lowest two and add two on the end with the growth. Or you remove the first three and add on at the end. Heather, Julie, just from, can you tell me how many people are on individual contracts?
There are 4.
And are those averaging the 2.5 to 2.9
It varies.
per, okay. Thank you.
I would think that they are not, but that's just me.
And does the longevity apply to any of those 4?
I'd have to look at the different provisions because sometimes if it's silent on something, it falls to the SAP. So I'd have to.
Thanks. And you said it's a percentage, the longevity is, I forget, percentage of what?
Percentage of their salary.
Okay, thank
Percentage
you.
of annual salary, but it's a one-time payment on your anniversary.
It's a bonus.
Right. One time.
Heather, just out of curiosity, I feel like at some point, we're gonna approve some salary grid. And then what happens next? It would go to the finance committee and they would review it and say whether they support it or not. Is that correct?
Correct. They have a public hearing on March 31st.
And if let's say they don't support it, they feel like we're too generous, then what? Then it still would go to the town meeting, correct? And they would indicate that they didn't support it, and the people at town meeting would vote whether to approve it or not. So let's say if they voted to approve something that finance felt was too generous, and maybe because it's just not in the budget, what happens then for the town if we as town members vote for something that is goes above and beyond the budget?
Depends on the source of funds that it comes from. So, and that would all depend on whether there's available funds. If that makes the budget out of balance, there's a number of factors.
So I guess the next question is, today is March 21st. This Finance Committee meeting's on March 31st. Heather, is it correct that we would have up until, let's say, March 30th to make any final decision on a salary grid?
The finance committee likes to receive information at least 48 hours in advance of their meetings. And there's a possibility they could hold another public hearing if all the information's not to them by the 31st.
So if we got, basically it would be safe if we got something to them by the 29th.
Yes. I'm sure they would like it sooner, but they do request it. Yeah.
So unless others feel differently, I mean, I might suggest that people take time to look these over and maybe even come up with something different, or at least that would give us time to get the numbers on the budget impact. Nancy, the spreadsheet that you shared with us, I think even I could, I was thinking initially it's a PDF, but you made a nice spreadsheet. So it seems like if I plugged in the, any new numbers, or any one of us plugged in new salary grid numbers, that it would calculate correctly, at least for the piece that you did. Is that right?
It should, yes.
Okay.
Can I ask, Mr. Chair, through you, does the other contracts drop off and add columns, police, fire, DPW, or do they all hit top pay in the same situation that we're in here? Or do they drop columns, add columns?
So the last DPW, there was a full comp analysis, and based on the comp results, there was an adjustment made. So there were steps dropped, but it was based on the comp analysis.
Mhm. And when you did the comp analysis, Heather, was it just DPW or the town overall?
When we did the DPW contract, we did the comp analysis for that unit.
Yes, for DPW.
Fire, we did same thing. We try to do comp analysis for every contract, and
Did we do one for this one?
Julie did that. She gave those results to the committee a couple weeks ago.
Oh, what she did, okay.
Mhm.
And that showed that we were below them, correct?
Yeah, based on the number of responses and medium and average pays.
So do we have a plan like you did with DPW and fire to fix that? Is that something we're saying we're going to do? We're kind of doing this to get through this phase and get to town meeting on time. And then as a committee, we'll spend this year to make those recommendations. Is that?
Going for fiscal for 24 and 25.
Yes.
I think that would be a useful exercise to go through that and look at certain consolidations of grades.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave you 3 years in these proposals, but we could just approve a salary grid for FY23 and take time to decide what we want to do for upcoming years.
Well, that might be something to do because
I
that
think-
will, it'll make us have to do the survey, listen to the data from the survey, and then move on those answers. Because it's something, as Sue says, we've been trying to do. We just always seem to run out of time. So if we did the 1 year, we'd be back here again having to do that.
Right. And we would have the, what I consider to be a more appropriate amount of time to analyze this. Because trying to jam and cram meetings every 3 and 4 days to like, because I'm sitting here going, okay, if we look at this, when are we having a meeting that we can post? It's, I think that we could look at 1 year a bit more easily, and it's not ideal. It would be great to you know, not part and parcel it, but
Right, I agree.
the only other thought, and I don't know necessarily how it would work, would be to, potentially have a separate grid of permanent employees. The cost of seasonal, intermittent and on-call in some ways is part of the prohibitive part, but again, from a timing perspective for FY23, that just may not be really doable, but it could be something we could potentially look at.
Kind of like department head
Is it
scale.
possible just to do 1 year, Heather? Or are we mandated to do 3?
No, historically 3 have been done at the town meeting, but I reviewed the bylaw and there's nothing that says it has to be 3-year.
Thank you
Okay.
for doing that. Donna, what do you think?
Heather just said we have to do 3 years.
No, we
No.
don't
Can't be
have to.
just one. Oh, we don't have to.
We don't have to.
I think 1 year would be my preference. I think, as Wendy pointed out, it's a lot. And, at the end of the day, we are all volunteers. We're trying to do our best, but what I don't want to do is to shortchange by trying to rush. So I think 1 year would be good.
With the go ahead, Wendy.
I look at what a lot of bargaining units did right when we went into COVID, and they did a 1 year. Again, not ideal, but then they really had that time, a full year, because that's really what we would have if we looked at it. We would truly have a full year to come back with something. If we say had some set meetings this year, picked days, times, so we knew we're meeting any business that came in, and then, looking at, having this be our old business, our ongoing business.
And are we doing that with just the basis of the PowerPoint presentation that Eric submitted this afternoon?
I think the one that he submitted is, I don't see the others getting through. Like, I don't see that happening
60,000, yeah.
when we get to FinCom. I just don't see that, or even going to town meeting floor.
Well, what's the PowerPoint presentation Eric submitted? Am I missing something?
No,
No.
she means the spreadsheet.
The spreadsheet.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
Thank
Donna,
you.
the spreadsheet he sent.
I went back to my mail and I'm like, wait, I think I missed something.
I didn't do anything that fancy. Well, if I'm hearing you correctly, the second version, it's titled V2, copy of FY23-FY25. That just the FY23 tab would be like a reasonable stopgap solution for a year, where it does address the minimum wage, and then it goes to gets down to about the 2% increase over FY22 for most of the grades. Obviously, some grades in the first 5 get a larger boost, but that's because of the adjustment from minimum wage.
And to make, and to add the verbiage that Heather suggested at the beginning of the call, that we put in there, that we will always pay the minimum wage, whatever that rate is. So even if our grid's not updated and and minimum wage goes up, we will increase that. That's something the first of the year that I know our community does, and everybody gets bumped up. So I think we have to add that caveat as well.
So like this, just as an example, this grid would start at 1425 for grade 1, step 1. But January 1st, it does go to 15. So if we were to hire someone at a grade 1 after January 1st, Heather, you're saying they would start at a grade 1, step 3, which is $15.12 an hour. Is that what that language would kind of fix?
Yes. Because they wouldn't be eligible for a step again. So it'd be wise to start them
At the 15.
at the rate that would achieve that
Mhm.
during that fiscal year.
Nancy?
What about existing employees if they're under 15 on January 1st? Would they move up also?
Existing employees with this new grid would fall under that new rate.
So they wouldn't get the bump up to minimum wage on January 1st if they were under 15?
So are you speaking on one in particular? Because I think this grid achieves them being paid above minimum wage.
It was just a thought. I didn't know if there is someone that would be under 15. on
That's what I think the
January 1st.
question is. Does this take everybody if there is anyone?
Someone, we'd have to have a current employee that is either grade 1, step 1 or 2, or grade 2, step 1. So I don't know if we have anyone that falls in that category, but we could, we could have language that does say, on January, well, I don't know, we don't have to put a date, but we could say that, at all employees, current and new, would at least make minimum wage, state minimum wage.
Eric, if you pulled up that projection that Nancy did, that we can answer that question now. The two scenarios that you said
Okay,
would be in
so
that projection.
we have grade 2, but that's 7 and 8. We have a grade 1, but they're at step 4. Grade 1, step 4. Oh, you want me to share it?
That might be- If you
I
can
can-
locate it, that's whatever works.
Let's see.
Talking about the current grid, right? Right now? Oh,
All
this.
right, so this was a budget impact one that Nancy put together for us. So this column right here is the grade that people are currently at in the SAP. And this is where, someone's at a grade 1, but they're at step 4. So in the new grid, if we approve that, they would be above 15. Same for this person here. And these two are at grade 2, but they're at step 7 and 8, so they're above 15. They would be above 15 in the new grid. And that's it. So I think all current employees would be safe.
I'm wondering if the folks that might affect more of might be more of the seasonals, lifeguards, things like that. I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking. Those are the only potential ones.
I think the seasonal lifeguards are grade 4 now, and they
Oh, they are, okay. I wasn't sure. Okay, then they're all set.
And they wouldn't be working on January 1, is that right?
No, but I was thinking
Forward
was-
plunge.
this year.
Oh, this year. Okay, thank you.
If I can, I'm trying to look at this spreadsheet and I think, I just wanted to take one for example, because I think I know what Nancy's saying. If we take that one that's at grade 1, step 4, which looks like they're currently at 12. And the proposed, looking at the impact spreadsheet, is going to bring them to 1236. So if we take somebody like that, are we going to keep them? How are we going to plot them? Are we going to plot them grade 1, step 4? Or are we going to plot them grade 1, step 1, because that's a $2 and something an hour increase? Because if we do bring them to the grade, the step 1, then come the following year, no, they won't be over 15.
No, I
It
would think,
wouldn't change steps. They would
But
be
remain
plotted
at-
the same.
And go to $15.
50,
They'd
Well,
be
then it'd be
plotted
well
exactly where they are now, whatever
Okay.
grade and step they are in that projection. It'd be the same grade and step.
Okay, so, all right, because it's not really a reclass.
so someone at grade 1, step 4 would be at grade 1, step 4 in
New.
any new salary grid. So the one I sent you just today, that rate is $15.57 an hour.
I just want to make sure what we put in for the reclass makes sense.
I'm sorry, I'm confused now. Bear with me. So I'm an employee making 12.75. With this new thing, I go to grade 1, step 1, and I make $14.25. January, the cost of living goes up to 15.
Oh. If you're a grade 1, step 1 employee now, which we don't have anyone, but if there was someone, they would be making $11.10 an hour. In this new grid, they would, or any new grid that we're talking about, they would make minimum wage, which is $14.25 an hour.
Right, that's as soon as town meeting passes this in July.
Right,
Then in January,
or May. Isn't it?
but it would be for fiscal year. So then
Yeah.
January 1st comes and the cost of living goes to $15. So I would go up to $15 January 1st until July 1st, when I would get my yearly now bump. Is that correct?
I think the steps that they're currently at will put them well above even the $15 minimum wage.
Well,
I
this
think
is the
that's-
11, this is the $11 person that we're moving to $14.25 currently.
All right, let's look at somebody together.
But we don't have anyone like that. So
No.
we actually don't have anyone that will be affected by the $15 minimum wage, is what I'm hearing.
I think the one that I
Everyone-
saw was a step 4,
I thought
And that
George
will-
said there was someone making 12 something.
and that will fix itself. Yeah, once we plot them to the new grid, they'll be well above 15. I
Yeah.
don't see
So
one above.
Joanna, I'm sorry, Julie.
No, it's fine.
Please continue. I'm so sorry I did that. I was just thinking, no, I've forgotten. I'm sorry. Just go.
It would only be an issue if we hired before July 1st, if we hired a new library page that had no experience and was brought in if we brought them in at a step 1, grade 1, before July 1st, it would impact like that person. And that might be about it.
But I think we wouldn't do that because we've made a commitment to these employees always to bring them in higher. So we would approve a higher step for them coming in.
So we
And
basically have-
also because we know that the minimum wage is going up. So we don't want that issue. And we've been working toward not having that issue as we bring on new people.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so basically, it's not going to be a problem for any current employees, and we can make sure it's not a problem for any new hires before July 1.
Correct.
Heather?
Just gonna, I think what Joanna was asking was mid-year if they would get that step increase. What I foresee is you would know that come January 1st in fiscal 23, the rate's increasing to 15. So anyone hired, we know we want to start them where they achieve that $15 during that year. They wouldn't be eligible for a mid-year step. So you'd start them. So that would be in place.
Thank
during
you.
the whole year.
That was my question.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
And then we
Well,
got to
like-
really look at, our existing employees.
So the next issue is, do we want to take a vote on a salary grid for FY 23 now? Or do we think we want to take some more time and come up with another meeting before or by March 29th?
I think getting a meeting before the 29th is going to be tough. I mean, would have to be Monday night then next week.
I mean, I think I'm okay to vote with the Excel spreadsheet that was sent out this afternoon with those new pay scales, with the verbiage of the minimum wage situation and the commitment from the board that we're going to FY 23-24 really delve into salary survey and get people plotted where they need to be plotted.
I agree.
I agree as well.
All right, so I guess I'll make a motion then that we approve the salary grid for FY 23 only that is titled V2. I should rename it before we take a vote, but it's titled V2 copy of FY 23 to FY 25 salary grid draft, 20 grades, uneven increments.
Second.
Uneven increase for grades 1 through 6.
Do we need to have a portion of that say and not, I guess it doesn't in this case, so probably not. I was going to say about minimum wage, but we probably don't need to because it's not there for the 1 year.
Right.
Barb,
I just want to, I don't have any grid entitled the V2. I got something from Julie, but I'm not sure I am looking at the correct one. So if you could send it out to the employees, what you're
Yeah.
agreeing.
I'll clean it up. I'll get rid of the 2 years that aren't going to be included and rename it to something that makes a little more sense, I guess.
Oh, I thought they had a chance to look at that. So could we reconvene a meeting next week just to vote and give the SAP employees time to look at that, to obtain their feedback? Or do you think that that's too late of a notice?
Eric, did they not get what you sent this afternoon? Did they not get what you sent this afternoon, Eric?
No, I just sent
Okay.
it to you again.
So they just saw it, I guess, for the first time when we screenshot it.
Mhm. I mean, it's not that complicated in the sense that it's what they're used to, and the percent increase. I can, I mean, this is, let's see here.
Well, we figured out like Barb, she was the hypothetical we use. She's 2.09, right?
My
So this-
thought is, we're here. Could we put this up so everyone can look at it again, as opposed
what
to
we just did.
reposting a meeting
Yep.
Yeah. so
and
this-
take any feedback and questions?
This is what we're voting on, the FY23 tab only, and so I'm gonna freeze this row here once, so this, we don't lose it, this column, sorry. Part of the merge though, all right, that's not helpful. Well, I can't
Eric,
freeze.
if you simply unmerge the top of that, it's like row 1, see where you have FY23
Yeah.
draft? That's
Yeah.
merged, just unmerge that and you should be good.
All right. Still a problem. Must have something else merged. All right, here we go. Nothing's easy. Oh, come on. I don't know what else is merged. Well, I can put the numbers here. No. All right, so these are the grades. So that you can more easily see the percent increase and how it's starts off pretty big and then goes to the more standard 2%. And these are the percent increases between grades. Again, how it's smaller at the beginning so that down the line, it doesn't get too out of whack. And then it gets to the more normal 9% difference between grades. So at a minimum, someone's going to get a 2.02% raise, and at the max is the people at the in steps, or sorry, grades 1 through 5 that get anywhere from 28 to 5.7% of an increase.
So am I correct in number 11, right? I'm just using Barb because she said we could to pull her up. So is she getting 2.7 or no? She's just getting 2 because she's off the chart?
She's getting 2.08% of an increase.
Okay.
If she's already at step 8, if that's what
I
heard.
apologize. I was using the numbers on the, sorry. Yes. So Barb would be getting the 2.08. Okay.
Barb,
And
I just would like to have, I understand the time constraint that you're all under, and I appreciate the work that you do, and I know you're all volunteers. But for the next go around, please take the time to study the other contracts that removed the higher steps and added lower steps, and the increases that people got, and value your employees. You've got department heads. You're doing the right thing for the seasonals and the part-time and the on-call, but I want you to also just look, and we want to be fair and be comparable to other employees. That's my rant. Bye.
All right, any other thoughts? I think I made a motion to pass this FY '23 version. I don't know if someone seconded it.
Donna did.
I did.
Okay. All right, all in favor? Sue,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. I'll clean this up and just send that out. Julie, could you send it to all the SAP employees?
Yeah, wait until you resend it. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I guess the other issue on our agenda is just to look over the two versions of the SAP plan that Julie sent out. One has the track changes and one's a clean version.
Eric,
And-
that
Yep.
was just kind of to do on your leisure. You can just, it wasn't meant for tonight's meeting. Yeah, I think you're gonna want to spend, it was
Good.
more time than, yeah. I wasn't
Yeah.
planning on having it tonight. If you guys had the time to look through it and compare, then by all means, but it wasn't my intent for you to address that tonight.
And then we'll have a meeting to do a final vote on the final document before town meeting. Is that correct? Okay.
That was my intention.
Thank you, Julie.
So question, Julie, because I did start going through it and I had some feedback. Do you want me to just send that to you? Because I found some things that, for example, at the last meeting, we were keeping the changes, like we had put it in and then we took it out. Then we decided we were going to just stay with the original language for one section. I forget which section that was. But in that one in particular, right now it's shown as a track change and it really shouldn't be. It should be accepted because it was the original.
We talking, I think it was discipline, right?
27,
Yeah.
27 discipline.
And it's
Thanks,
showing as, let me look at that because it shouldn't. It should be as if it was never marked off at all, which, let's see. Without tracking. Oh, were you looking at the tracked version?
Tracked version. So what I'm trying to do is look at the last final approved from 2021, the version on November 16, 2021. That would have been the very first before this exercise. Then the one with the tracked changes. And so I'm kind of going through and eyeballing, so that I can make sure that we haven't missed anything or haven't changed, taken something out that we shouldn't have. And that's where I saw that. So in the final without track changes, no big deal. But I'm wondering how we're going to present this at town meeting. I would think we want to present the townspeople with, here's what the old one was, here's what the new one is with the track changes highlighted. That's kind of how I started that way. Because if I were looking at it, just if I were sitting in the audience, that's how I'd want to see it. Like, just net it out for me. What's the differences? So.
Yep. Hey, look, so, okay, so on the tracked version, it's still like in blue or something.
It's in red.
Okay, so on my version with the tracked, it is the only, section 27, the only thing in red is changing probationary to waiting.
No, it's before 27 because I hadn't got that far yet.
Oh, okay, then we're talking a different section. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking a different section. I think it's section 9, the layoff procedure.
The layoff?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had
Yeah,
taken that out and then we decided to put it all back or something.
That's right. Yeah, and so
but
then,
that's
you know,
the original. Okay,
yeah,
then you can email me.
okay, I will.
If that's easiest for you guys as you go through it, just email me things that have questions or you pick up things like that.
Okay,
I was trying to piece it all together, just like you did, from November going forwards and trying to track it all, so.
yeah, okay. That's good though, because I'll take the time really to go through it and then I'll send you what I find. Is it on Drive or anything? Like, can we put comments someplace rather than?
It's not. I probably might be able to do that.
Okay. If not, I'll do it the other way. It's hard though, because I can't, the only thing I can do for you is to give you an email that says, here, this section, this paragraph, rather than just highlighting it in,
I can send it to you in Word,
oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
and then you can. So the door whip open. Yeah.
And Donna
Um,
is a much better wordsmith than I. So Donna, you have at it.
No, I'm just comparing. Oh, so there's one other question I had before we finish. There are many places in the, because now that we're almost done, right? It's like, okay, those controversial things are all done, and like now making sure that it looks right and it's gonna stick for 3 years. There's many places where it says selectmen. It doesn't say the select board, but it's just it's that body. It says selectmen. So if you run through the whole document and search for Board of Selectmen, you can easily change it to the Select Board. But there are many places where it says selectmen, and it probably should say Select Board. So there's
Okay.
that's the first one. And the other one was, there are many places in the document that says he/she, and to be gender appropriate, it really should say they. Everywhere. Because it's got to last for 3 years.
I missed that one. What was that, Donna?
Instead of saying he/she, it should say simply they, to be gender appropriate. And to last for 3 years.
Yeah, so things like that, if you can email them, and then I can go through.
Thank you.
What's our deadline on the SAP document?
Isn't it the 31st?
That's finance.
That was just for the salary grid.
It would be similar because it's an annual town meeting article. So all articles are discussed at that public hearing. Especially
But
I think we might be missing one of the articles. Did we finish that one? We had one that we approved, one that we pushed.
No, I think the one we were gonna push was the last one, but we got clarification that we could delete out those specific sections. So you went ahead and voted.
Okay,
Right,
so
there was
so
none
Heather,
left.
right, so Heather, the articles are all done. What we're asking is when do the bylaws need to be finalized and approved by and voted on by this group before they go to town meeting?
I would say no later. So the warrant is voted on April 5th by the select board. So we definitely need a finalized version by then.
For next week.
By finalized version, you mean the track changes and the clean version?
Yes, because then it will have to be filed at the town clerk's office, so anyone can view it. We like to put stuff up on the website so people can go through it beforehand.
Okay.
That drives when our next meeting is.
Right, which
brings me back to,
The only day available, right? That's where you were going with this?
right, and then if that's the case, do we have voted, do we potentially take time and look again at Eric's version? And at our next meeting, like say, let's say we did it Monday night.
No,
next week.
no. We're talking about the bylaws.
No, I
Nothing.
know what I know what we're talking about. What I'm saying is part of it was time constraint around when we were asked, should we give some time to look at Eric's version more, hear feedback?
What's Eric's version of the bylaws? I don't get it.
No, I'm talking
Well,
about
salary-
Talking about the salary.
salary. I'm
salary
sorry.
scale.
So salary, if we end up having to meet early next week, do we give one more potential? Does anybody see where I'm going with this? I may just
No.
be,
Yes,
I'm
I don't feel a need to
sorry,
do that.
okay, you saw where I'm
I
going.
don't feel a need to do that.
Oh, you're saying because we're meeting anyway, Wendy? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Oh,
To say if
No.
everyone, okay. Because I know there was some concern, so I thought if we have to meet
yeah,
anyway,
I see what you're
get
saying.
it, and
Thanks.
that's,
Thank you.
So we
So-
have, do we have until, you said, I heard April something for, but does,
April 1st, which is next Thursday. Is that
yeah,
right? Next
Right.
Thursday.
Okay.
Friday.
And
I can meet next Monday at 5. The 28th, if that gives Julie enough time.
Depending how long you guys get to me, you know, I'm gonna need your responses by Wednesday.
All right, so if we get all our responses to you by 5 on Wednesday, then we can meet Monday, if that works for the board. I don't want to speak for my members. We could meet Monday at 5, and then that would give you time for any last minute updates and submit it for,
Let me just look at Thursday, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if this is something we want to talk about now, or this really wasn't even on the agenda, but I had one comment that I need an answer on under the holiday section. With the
Sure.
new language that we put in, I was thinking it would probably fit best at the end of that paragraph rather than the first sentence. Just wanted you guys to weigh in on that. Just
Sure.
read a little funny to me the way that it's currently plugged in.
that's section 18.
I think so. So many things. Let's see.
And just to get back to Wendy, I support either way. I'm happy to let everybody digest the pay scale and, or keep it as it is, because it's only for 1 year. It's FY '23. And at least people are getting the, a 2.09. It's not what they deserve. It's not what they're worth. We all realize that, but I would go either way and support discussing it again, letting people have time to process.
Did you find it, Julie?
Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to share it? Yes, I did. Sorry.
I was just wondering where you were asking about.
Right here. So I feel like it's talking about observing it, and if it falls on a Saturday, we'll observe it on the preceding Friday, and so forth. I feel like it should just be moved somewhere else within, not right at the front.
Oh, you're right. It does read funny. You're right.
Yeah,
It's like the cart before the horse.
a little bit, yeah.
Maybe before the, right around there, if the department head determines, like before that sentence.
I see the department head determines.
Can we make it bigger? I'm sorry, I can't see it. Thank you, Julie.
Welcome. There is a way, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Better?
And was the suggestion to put it after the first sentence in black currently?
I'm not sure what you mean, the first sentence in black.
I had suggested moving it to where her cursor is now,
Right here.
where it says if, moving it before that.
Oh.
But I have no real preference. I'd say you want to move it wherever you want, as long as it's right in that, somewhere in that paragraph.
But I would agree, having it be the first sentence is, it doesn't quite read right.
Oh, I was thinking maybe at the end, the last, like right after, right here, because it talks about observing, and if it falls on a Saturday or if it falls on a Sunday, and it talks about if you have to work, you'll be paid at time and a half. You'll get a floating day if you are working that day. Couldn't observe it, and then I'm thinking maybe the last sentence of this paragraph, but
I would actually put it before the final determination. Just before that. That should be the last sentence. The final determination is made by the town manager.
I think that's specific to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I take it it's specific to this section.
Yeah,
Ah,
that's why I'd put it before that.
before that. Yeah, you're
That's
right.
what Eric was saying before
Right
the,
there. Yep.
I
Okay.
agree with Eric.
Yep, I do too.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. All right.
All right, so I think I'm hearing that Monday, the 28th works for a final vote on the text of the SAP after you have a chance, everyone has a chance to look it over.
With giving your suggested changes to Julie by Wednesday at 5.
Right, Wednesday, the 23rd.
Correct.
Yeah, if that's the case, just, it doesn't even have to be at 5, just before 9 o'clock on Thursday then, in the morning. I'm not there at 5, so that's fine. If you need to do it after. Doesn't matter, you can send it at 5. I'm not gonna tackle it till the next day.
Just trying to recap.
So
Does Monday work for everybody? Donna's yes.
Works for me.
Wendy? Perfect.
Julie?
Yeah.
All right.
So with that, Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to adjourn.
Public comment?
Oh, thank you, Wendy. I always skip that. Thank you for keeping us on track.
I actually wondered if we should look at setting a meeting schedule. We've committed to tackle a fairly sizable task over the next handful of months, or at least set out the next couple of meetings.
For the time
Good
being,
suggestion.
Would
I
the
just
first-
think it's hard to try and do them on the fly.
would the first Monday of every month work, or the second Monday? Monday seems to be a good day for people that we start at least maybe once a month to see
Yeah,
the progress we're making.
yep.
And 5 works for me. I don't know for everybody else. I like the 5.
I like 5, but
Me
if I'm working, 5 won't work. There's no
Okay.
internet, there's nothing. So it means I've got to be home to do it. So that's going to be tough for me.
So what time works for you, Donna?
As long as I can leave camp at 5, I could be home by 6. That would work.
So 6 o'clock on
And
Monday?
yeah, and this is the time of year where that's going to become just a tough thing for me until August, September.
Is Lunenburg doing hybrid, Heather?
Hybrid meetings?
Yeah, are they going to continue with the hybrid so we could do Zoom and?
Continued as long as the state allows.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we could still do, for people that can't get too public. But we could
Oh.
start that Monday at
Yeah.
6.
Thank you, Joanna. Yeah, that's better for me. But if I'm commuting, there's no cell service either between there and home. So I've got to be like in this area to do it by phone.
Yeah. Yeah, the first Monday of the month works best for me if that works for the group.
So
And
what
so-
we'd have then is the next 2 Mondays for us.
Mhm.
And then we go into May. And through August, look at the first Monday of the month.
But I can tell you
Reevaluate.
right now, I can't do the 4th. I'm going to be traveling home. So I'm flying home that day. So that day's out for me. Typically, the first Monday would be fine. It's just this one's not going to work for me. And if it works for everybody else, I could just be absent. I mean, totally up to you guys.
Right, and with Zoom, it's going to be videotaped anyway, so you can watch the whole thing and not miss a beat.
Yep.
Okay,
I
so I
would,
make a motion. Oh, sorry. Julie.
I would just need somebody to communicate to me what is going to be on the agenda each month.
Every month, oh, go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry, you're the chair and I'm.
I was just thinking we're gonna meet on March 28th. So maybe we can skip the April 4th meeting, which is just a week later, and have our first kind of Monday meeting on Monday, May 2nd.
That works for me.
And I think that the main agenda item would be reviewing changes to the FY 24 salary grid.
It'll be the exact agenda you used tonight, except under new business. And new business would only be updated as you want us to look at something. But for us, it would be that ongoing business, discuss SAP salary grid options.
We'll still have the option to meet additionally throughout the month if we have a new hire that needs a pay rate
Well, we
or
try
a job
to,
description.
now that you have a set calendar, we would try to put it in that. Because we're going to meet the first Monday of every month. And then if for whatever reason that can't happen, then we would have to have a special meeting for that.
Yeah, I'd hate to just say, we hire someone on April 5th and have to wait a month before they can begin work. And then, that would just be to approve the rate and then it has to go to the select board too, so. Okay.
Okay.
And is it starting at 6? Did we agree with that or no?
Yes, I thought you said 6 was better.
It is. Thank
Yeah.
you, everyone. I appreciate that.
It's going to work for all of us.
All right, so we have I think I heard a motion to adjourn. From Joanna. And was that a second?
I can second.
All
I
right.
can do that.
All right, Sue gets it. She gets the prize, Wendy. All in favor of adjourning? Donna,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Ooh,
Aye.
and Eric is an aye. All right, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next Monday at 5.
I just want to say thank you to Eric. Oh, Nancy's already gone. Nancy and Julie. I know doing those grids wasn't easy. It was very, very time consuming. Thank you very, very much.
Agreed. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Yes.
And please
Thank you.
pass on to Nancy our thanks as well, as she's off. So I know you all worked very hard and I thank you very, very much.
Mm.
All right,
Good
thank
night.
you. You guys.
Thanks. Have a good night.